I am Dr. Seena Paul from Shri M.D. Shah Mahila College of Arts and Commerce, Malad. Today we are going to discuss a chapter titled Best Practices in Terms of Gender Sensitivity. The module number is 12. From our previous modules, we must have seen that the share of women in the company's board, similarly the senior management position, the share of women is very poor. To overcome this lacunae, various various companies have undertaken certain measures. This chapter will be discussing the measures which have been adopted by the government. Similarly, what measures have been adopted by the company in order to overcome this problem of poor gender diversity. Over the last quarter century, women have made significant advances in education and labor force participation. When we look at the women's participation ratio in tertiary education, we see a significant progress in the ratio across the globe. In the case of China and India, female tertiary education participation ratio was less than 40 for every 100 males in 1980. By 2011, the ratio climbed up to 111 in China and 78 in India respectively. Over the same period, rapid gains in the female tertiary education participation ratio is also seen in Latin America, Middle East and North Africa. Equally, we see a noteworthy improvement in the ratio in the least developed regions such as Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Along with an improvement in education, we see an upward movement in women's participation in labor force activity. According to World Bank data, during the period 2003 to 2013, women's share in labor force has equally improved in low income, that is 2.9%, middle income 1.3% and high income countries, that is 0.9%. However, these positive pointers have not resulted into a higher share of women in senior management position and corporate board. Both Credit Suisse and Catalyst in the study have indicated that women participation in top management tends to be more skewed towards areas of lesser influence and with lower promotion opportunity. Similarly, women are still largely underrepresented at the board level across Europe, North America and Asia Pacific. Norway, the share is 35.5%, Austria 13%, Denmark 21.9%, Finland 29.9%, France 29.7%, Germany 18.5%, Ireland 10.3%, Netherlands 21%, Portugal 7.9%, Spain 18.2%, Sweden 28.8%, Switzerland 17%, United Kingdom 22.8%, Japan 3.1%, India 9.1%, Hong Kong 10.2%, Australia 19.2%, USA 19.2%, China 8.5% and Canada 20.8%. The data has been taken from Catalyst 2014. Legislation and gender sensitization. As seen from the above introduction, women's role in senior management is marginal. To encourage their advancement into leadership position, there are increased efforts both at the government and at the corporate level. At the government level, we see increasingly government across the globe are developing diverse legislative tools to improve women representation in the senior management. Gender quota. Among the many measures, one of the significant measures introduced by different governments to promote women in the leadership position is the legislation on gender quotas on corporate board. Norway was the first nation to introduce steps at the legislative level to improve women representation in the corporate board. In December 2003, Norway introduced legislative gender quota on corporate board, which required 40% representation of each gender on the board of directors of public limited company. As most of the firms did not comply, in January 2006, the law became compulsory and the firms which did not comply by January 2008 were threatened to be dissolved. Following Norway, legislated gender quotas on board were introduced in Spain, Iceland, Finland, France and the Netherlands. In November 2013, European Parliament voted in favor of a proposed draft law that would require 40% female board members in about 5,000 listed companies in the European Union by 2020, whereas for state-owned companies, the year of compliance is by 2018.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have voted against this report as it's called for the Commission to bring in a compulsory quota system for women in the workplace. As an MEP who was elected on my party's list without a quota, then elected without a quota by the public, I find this demeaning and insulting to all hard-working women up and down the UK. We should live in a meritocratic society where women are encouraged to achieve their goals, and we should address the issues that are keeping women from reaching these goals. We should not treat women as just another number on your stats, and certainly should not be forcing businesses and parliaments to have mandatory quota. Thank you, Chairman.
Similarly, in 2014, Germany also passed legislation on gender quota which required at least 30% of the corporate board members should be comprised of women, and the requirement has to be complied by 2016. In developing economies, Malaysia has imposed a 30% quota for new appointments to corporate board, and Brazil has set a target of 40%, though only for state-controlled firms. The government of several other countries, including Australia, Britain, Sweden, have also suggested to impose quotas if the firms do not appoint more female directors voluntarily. There are also few examples of voluntary gender quotas in the corporate sector. For example, Daimler in 2006 pledged to fill 20% of all the management positions in the company with female candidates by 2020. Similarly, Deutsche Telekom also announced in March 2010 that it would fill 30% of its management position with women by the end of 2015. India and gender quota. To ensure adequate representation of women in the board as well as to instill greater diversity of views across the board of company, India also adopted the route of legalized gender quota system. The newly enacted Companies Act 2013 has made it mandatory for every listed company and every public company with a minimum paid up share capital of rupees 1 billion or an annual turnover or of at least 3 billion or more to appoint at least one woman director within 1 year from the commencement of the second provision to section 141 of the Act. However, for the new companies incorporated in the Companies Act 2013, compliance should be within a period of 6 months from the date of company incorporation. Therefore, for the existing companies, compliance of the above requirement should be within 1 year And for the new companies incorporated under the New Companies Act, compliance is within 6 months from the date of incorporation. Further, if there is any intermediate vacancy of a woman director, it should be filled up by the board of directors within 3 months from the date of such vacancy, or no later than immediate next board meetings, whichever is later. SEBI also revises equity listing requirement to align with the requirements of 2013 Act. The revised clause of 49 of the agreement pertaining to corporate governance requirement and listed company now requires all listed companies to appoint at least one woman director to their boards no later than April 2015. SEBI has exempted smaller companies, those having equity share capital of 100 million on net worth not exceeding Indian rupees 250 million, and also listed on small and medium enterprise platform of the stock exchange from the mandatory compliance component of the new code for the time being. Access to family friendly working arrangement. Women in work shoulder dual responsibility of caregiver at home as a prime responsibility of providing care to the elders and children across the globe is on women, and at work. The result in greater stress among women, and this stress in turn works as a greater obstacle for furthering the career progression. To reduce the stress, women across the globe are increasingly working to develop family-friendly working arrangement, which they are trying to achieve by amending existing legal frameworks to improve access of both men and women to family-related leave and allowances, flexible working arrangements, and part-time employment. Few examples are countries such as Hungary, Netherlands, Belgium, Estonia, Romania, and United Kingdom have announced partial leave for the employees, and in most cases this leave can be utilized by men for child rearing. B. For working women, flexible working arrangements are crucial condition for a successful reconciliation of work and family responsibility. Many countries have ensured these arrangements through legislative action. For example, in Austria, parents with children under the age of 7 have right to reduce their working hours or can opt for flexible working schedule. This legal right is applicable to companies with more than 20 employees. Small companies with fewer than 20 employees who voluntarily grant working time flexibility to parents can request financial support from the government to alleviate the cost associated with the reorganization of working time. Companies and gender sensitization. Along with the legislative measures, organizations have also exerted efforts to understand and address the issue of gender disparity in leadership roles. Companies have begun implementing initiatives in order to attract, develop, and retain a gender diverse senior management. Gender diversity initiatives most frequently implemented by companies are diversity group networks, core integration, flexible scheduling, work-life balance, career planning, and role model. These 5 initiatives appear as a core gender diversity strategy for the companies. Along with these initiatives, other gender sensitive measures adopted by the companies are informal mentoring, formal mentoring, workforce planning, diversity goals, women events, and advocacy sponsorship. Across the globe, different companies have adopted gender diversity initiatives to promote women in senior leadership. Few examples are as follows. TCS North America introduced an executive education and leadership development program named iExcel. The program is designed and launched for women associates in TCS to enhance their leadership skill and empower them to effectively lead their team. iExcel participants get an opportunity to interact with the senior leaders in TCS as well as in the industry. This interaction leaves a positive impact on the participants' self-confidence, leadership skill, customer engagement, networking, professional collaboration, etc., which eventually contributes to role progression and career advancement. TCS also participates in the Tata's Group Second Career Initiative that offers job opportunities to women returning to workplace after a break in their careers. PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, audit, tax and consultancy service company improves gender diversity with the help of following programs. The company deals with the issue of gender mainstreaming and stereotypes by monitoring the number of applications received from male and female candidates during the recruitment process. Once the selection of appropriate candidates have been made, they monitor the selection percentage in terms of gender. This helps them to confirm whether or not there is a kind of gender bias in the recruitment and selection process. To promote women in decision-making position, the company sets gender targets in percentage for the upcoming years for the grades of director and partner in their business plan.
We can't predict the future, but we know what's driving change. Populations are shrinking and growing in different regions. There's a shift in economic power to the east. Urbanization is changing how people live and work. Resource scarcity and climate change are having an impact, and technology connects us like never before, with everything interdependent. Now more than ever, clients need advisors they can trust to give them the insight and support they need to adapt and to grow. That's where we come in. As PwC professionals, we go beyond technical competence. As authentic and inclusive leaders who inspire others, we'll make PwC the #1 global professional services network. All of us count. Seeing ourselves as leaders, as PwC professionals, will give our clients, our people and our communities the very best PwC experience. These 5 attributes will make us stand out in the market. Whole leadership, technical capabilities, business acumen, global acumen, relationships. Whatever your role, grade or skills, you'll have different strengths across these 5 areas. You love making a difference wherever you can, using your top technical capabilities and brilliant business acumen. Your mindset is global, going beyond borders. And you know how to build meaningful relationships. We're all different, but we're all PwC professionals, all leaders, and we're stronger together. What kind of leader are you?
To enhance work-life balance of employees in the company has put in place the following measure. There is no official monitoring of working hours. The flexible working hours scheme is available for everyone. The scheme offers flexibility to all workers with regard to their arrival, lunch and departure time. Reduced and flexible working hour schemes are offered for working mothers with a child under the age of 18 or a child who is still at secondary school. Saint Gobain, a multinational company, the Italian department of the company, in collaboration with the trade union, adopted a project titled Positive Action to promote the presence of women in leadership and management. As per the project, specific training paths would be chalked out for 30 high potential women in terms of their future professional development. An innovative element of this project is that female managers, both from the feminine departments such as administration, communication, legal affairs or human resource, and from non-feminine department, technical and operational department would be considered for the project. Deloitte and Touch, an audit tax consulting enterprise, risk and financial advisory service company with branches across the globe to promote high-ranking female employees within the organization, has developed 3 key initiatives. Women Initiative to retain, develop and advance women leaders. WIN each year arranges over 400 events which include courses, workshops, projects, networking and coaching, etc. For instance, WIN arranges a 5-day course titled Leading Edge. The focus of the course is on leadership development, negotiation skills and preparation for senior position. Mass Career Customization, that is MCC, is another program which helps the employees to fit their work into life with a change in priorities. For example, Personal Pursuit allows employees to leave the workforce up to 5 years while staying connected to the company. Vigorous Measurement, the leaders in each business function and enabling service are accountable for progress on career sponsorship, client deployment and leadership succession. Goals and action for specific strategic areas are measured through metrics.
I think the way that I've benefited from the program has really been by understanding a little bit more about myself.
A lot of the value in fast tracking your career and your success is just first taking the time to understand where you want to go.
The program will give you a chance to take the time to reflect on yourself and to meet others that will inspire you and take you down a path that you otherwise would never have even known might be there.
As young professional women, we sometimes have a little bit of self-doubt, and it's really important to be strong in who we are.
I think that's what I'm going to focus on most is how my strengths can help in client situations, just not be limited by the role or the title that we might have.
It's actually made me realize what my personal brand was, and I've been able to use that to change my role completely. So I used to be an audit manager and now I'm an audit experience designer.
It really gave us a good opportunity for development, which we wouldn't actually have gotten without the program. I've had access to a lot of partners from different groups that I wouldn't necessarily have otherwise come in contact with.
Having a focus on unfair share of female talent in the market has, for a firm like ours, has been really, really beneficial to understand both personally and professionally.
It's really important to set yourself some goals and be willing to dive into the deep end and go after them.
Procter & Gamble, to improve gender diversity at senior management, has rolled out various gender diversity programs. It has set up goals and metrics for female promotion, female leaders at senior management, and leadership development improvement programs for women with clear personal and team accountabilities. It hires enough women at entry level. It conducts leadership and mentoring programs to develop female leaders. Dell, manufacturer of computers, software, television, printer, monitor and PDA, workstations and hardware to support, attract and retain women in executive role, has implemented initiatives such as work-life focus, assigning mentors to women managers and forming women network group. Along with these initiatives, company has introduced 2 learning and development programs, Taking the Stage and Embracing the Stage, to promote women in leadership. The Taking the Stage program was purchased by the company from a Canadian consultancy company which specializes in gender training program. The program focused on challenges faced by women leaders in her career progression and how did they overcome them. Further, the program examined various other aspects of women leaders. How do they use their voice? What is the language used by them? How they contributed in their group, etc. The program was conducted by the senior female managers and the directors, and around 700 women across Europe were trained in the course of the program. Based on the success of Taking the Stage and from the feedback received from the participant, the company developed in-house program called Embracing the Stage. The program emphasized on the importance of building relationship and networking, and also focused on how you can continue to take the stage in your career through your influencing skill. The program is now open for both men and women. The feedback received from the program as regard what women want from their careers, what are the challenges faced by them, what difficulties faced by the women in their career progression, and the solution to the difficulties are regularly posted to the executive leadership. Coca-Cola, to advance women internally, has set the goal of achieving gender parity at all levels of the organization by 2020. To achieve the goal, the company is aggressively recruiting senior women from outside the company and also through internal talent process. For example, people development forums are used to identify women who are ready now for promotion, to ensure robust development plan for women in the leadership pipeline, and to track and monitor gender balance in the key succession plan. The initiative has significantly increased women representation in the company around the globe. Between 2008 and 2012, the proportion of women leaders has increased from 23% to 29% among senior level women, and the proportion of immediate pipeline women has increased from 28% to 34%, with consistent increase across region. Globally, Coca-Cola external recruitment of women leaders rose from 13% in 2007 to 41% in 2011. The representation of women in Coca-Cola Key Assessment and Development Program also has risen from 21% in 2007 to 49% in 2011. Summary: over the last century, women have made significant advances in education and labor force participation. When we look at the women's participation ratio in tertiary education, we see a significant progress in the ratio across the globe. Similarly, World Bank data report also show that during the period of 2003 to 2013, women's share in the labor force has equally improved in low income, middle income and high income countries. However, these positive pointers have not resulted into a higher share of women in senior management position and corporate board. Both Credit Suisse and Catalyst in their study have indicated that women participation in top management tends to be more skewed towards area of lesser influence and with lower promotion opportunity. Similarly, women are still largely underrepresented at the board level across the globe. To encourage the advancement into leadership position, there are increased efforts both at the government and at the corporate level. At the government level, we see increasing governments across the globe are developing diverse legislative tools to improve women representation in the senior management. Among the many measures, one of the significant measures introduced by different governments to promote women in the leadership position is the legislation on gender quota on corporate board. Norway was the first nation to introduce steps to legislate level to improve women representation in the corporate board. Following Norway, legislated gender quotas on boards were introduced in Spain, Iceland, Finland, France, the Netherlands, Germany, Malaysia, Brazil and India. Governments of several other countries including Australia, Britain and Sweden have also suggested to impose quotas if firms do not appoint more female directors voluntarily. Along with the gender quota, governments across the globe are increasingly working to develop family-friendly working arrangements which they are trying to achieve by amending existing legal frameworks to improve access of both men and women to family-related leave and allowances, flexible working arrangements and part-time employment. Similar like government, companies have also begun implementing initiatives in order to attract, develop and retain a gender diverse senior management. Gender diversity initiatives mostly frequently implemented by companies are diversity group, network, core integration, flexible scheduling, work-life balance, career planning and role model. Along with these initiatives and other gender sensitive measures adopted by the companies are informal mentoring, formal mentoring, workforce planning, diversity goals, women events, advocacy, sponsorship. Across the globe, different companies have adopted different gender diversity initiatives to promote women in senior leadership. Few examples are as follows. TCS North America introduced a program named iExcel. It is an executive education and leadership development program for its women associates to enhance their leadership skill and empower them to effectively lead their team. TCS North America introduced a program named PwC to improve gender diversity in the senior management has adopted following program: monitoring the gender bias in the recruitment and selection process, to set up gender targets in percentage for the grades of director and partner in their business plan, flexible working hours scheme for the employee. Saint-Gobain, a multinational company, the Italian department of the company, in collaboration with the trade union, adopted a project titled Positive Action to promote the presence of women in leadership management. Deloitte and Touchy, to promote high-ranking female employees within the organization, has developed 3 key initiatives: Women Initiative, WIN, Mass Career Customization and Vigorous Measurement. Procter & Gamble, to improve gender diversity at senior management, has rolled out various gender diversity programs. It has set up goals and metrics for female retention, female promotion, female leaders at the senior management and leadership development improvement program for women with clear personal and team accountabilities. It hires enough women at entry level. It conducts leadership and mentoring programs to develop female leaders. Dell, to support, attract, retain women in the executive role, has implemented initiatives such as the work-life focus, assigning monitors to women managers and forming women network programs. Along with these initiatives, the company has introduced 2 learning and development programs taking the stage and embarrassing the stage, embracing the stage to promote women in leadership. Along with these initiatives, company has introduced 2 learning and development programs, taking the stage and embracing the stage to promote women in leadership. Coca-Cola, to advance women internally, has set up the goal of achieving gender parity at all levels of organization by 2020. To achieve the goal, the company is aggressively recruiting senior women from outside the company and also through their internal talent process. The initiative has significantly increased women representation in the company around the globe. Thank you.